Hello everyone. On behalf of Palestinian-German Science Bridge, allow me to extend a warm welcome to all of you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Lotfi Talalwa from Palestine. I'm working in Yulich Research Center on a project funded by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research here in Germany, and titled as Development of a Dedicated Brain Phantom for Hybrid PET MRI Acquisition. Today, I'm here to talk about my project and its status report. My talk is divided into 4 parts. I will start with my scientific background, then I will look at my project in details, my scientific and academic achievements, and finally, the outcomes of my networking efforts, the established collaborations, and my future plans. Starting with my scientific background, in 2011, I've got the bachelor's degree in physics from the Arab American University in Palestine. And in 2013, I received my master's degree in medical physics from University of Science in Malaysia. And since 2018, I have enrolled as a PhD student to the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering in the largest technical university in Germany, called Aachen University, under the supervision of Professor Dr. Ghalib Natur. Also, since 2018, I received the Palestinian-German Science Bridge Research Fellow in its second call to work in a collaborative project between the Institute of Neuroscience and Medicine, INM-2, and the Institute of Engineering and Technology, ZEA-1. Both are located at Jülich-Forschungszentrum, which is one of the largest research centers here in Europe. My project supervisor is Professor Dr. Ghalib Natur, and my project scientific advisor is Dr. Zimona Pir. The second part of my talk will be about the project itself. My project mainly focuses on 2 things: the hybrid PET MRI modality and its imaging phantoms. The modality I'm working with is known as Biograph MMR from Siemens. The modality brings a revolution in diagnostic imaging by combining MRI's excellent soft tissue resolution with PET's ability to detect metabolic activity of the body into one scan. To illustrate more, let's see these images. As you can see here in image A, it's an image from PET scan. It shows only the distribution of the injected radiopharmaceutical inside the body, with no anatomical or structural details. In image B, it's an image from MRI scan. It shows only the anatomical details, but we cannot distinguish between the normal and abnormal cells because we don't have any information about the metabolic activity of these cells. Combining these 2 modalities in only one scan, we can get MHC. It's an image from hybrid PET MRI that shows both information, the metabolic activity as well as the anatomical details, so we can detect the cancerous cells with its exact location, exact size, and exact depth, with excellent contrast and resolution, and this will lead to an accurate treatment plan. The second thing is the imaging phantoms, or simply phantoms. It's an object used to evaluate, analyze, and tune the performance of imaging modalities. And any imaging modality needs to be calibrated in a periodic way by using these phantoms. Here are some examples of the commercial phantoms that use for quality assurance and the quality control purposes: for positron emission tomography, for magnetic resonance imaging, for computed tomography, and also for ultrasound. Unfortunately, the positron emission tomography phantoms made of material that are not suitable for MRI and vice versa. And this is my project's motivation, to construct a phantom from a material that are suitable for PET and MRI at the same time. The first step was to find the material, and we need some characteristics with these materials. The first one, as you know, MRI has very strong magnetic field, and we cannot use any magnetic material with this modality. Thus, it should be non-magnetic materials. I mean the materials we want. like glass, rubber, plastic, etc. And also the material must have some contrast with MRI. Also, it should have some porosity. We need a material which is able to absorb any injected radiopharmaceuticals for positron emission tomography. We found that material. It's a new experimental material called porolé, and it was invented here in Germany, and it's never used in medical imaging research. The material made of rubber elastomeric polymer and a dissolvable PVA component. It's an inexpensive material and available as 3D printable filaments, so we can print it in any complex shape. Also, it has hybrid physical forms, so it can be available as solid or flexible or spongy. To employ this material in the medical field, especially in the medical imaging research, I started to learn new skills and doing intensive training before starting my experimental work. So I had a training on positron emission tomography, such as PET safety, PET scanning, and their protocols. Also, I've learned a lot on 3D printing, 3D design, all were at the INM-2 labs. Also, to study the microstructure of this material, I had the training for cryosectioning and frozen tissue sectioning. Also, intensive training on PET-CT scanning, their safety as well as their protocols. And also, these things were also done at INM-2. Besides that, I worked with Fortus 400 MC. It's a 3D printer available at ZEA-1 labs, and also work with digital microscopy and scanning electronic microscope. Besides the training in a plastic and glass workshop at ZEA-1 lab. Moreover, I studied the dielectric properties of this material after having an intensive training in dielectric spectroscopy at the GCNS labs. Also, a lot of training on MRI safety, MRI scanning, MRI sequences, T1 and T2 mapping, etc. All were done at INM-4 labs. After having all these skills, all these trainings, I prepared hundreds of printed samples to optimize the printing parameters such as infill density, infill structure, number of layers to produce an excellent contrast, excellent homogeneity for positron emission tomography and for MRI. Actually, we have got very interesting results. And these results prove that porolé is a promising material for phantom developments. For example, in the first image, it shows the dissolving the PVA component in the printed samples will create pores, and these pores will make the porolé filament capable to absorb the radioactive fluids. And this is shown in image 2. After optimizing the materials, the PET scan of these printed samples shows that the porolé absorb the radioactive tracers with good contrast and homogeneity, and these results were also reproducible. Regarding to the MRI, we could have different contrast in MRI scan, so these materials shall be used to mimic different areas of the brain, like white matter and gray matter. Unfortunately, and due to the copyrights, I can't show all my data, but all results could serve as a reference and guideline for researchers and scientists to know how to handle these materials and how to utilize porolé materials in a wide range of medical field application, like my project by constructing a brain phantom from these materials. Proceeding to my scientific outreach, and within 2 years, I managed to present my work at the IEEE conference. So, it's a nuclear science symposium and medical imaging conference which was held in Manchester, UK. Of course, to get in touch with experts in this field. And my presentation was also published as a conference paper at the IEEE journal. Also, I submitted another manuscript to the IOP, the Institute of Physics, and it was recommended to be published by the journal referees after doing some improvements. I'm working on it, and it will resubmit next week. Besides that, another paper is almost finished, and I've got the approval to submit it to the American Association of Physics in Medicine. And finally, I submitted a patent application to the German Patent and Trademark Office, and it's under processing. So, besides my scientific outreach, I also managed to pass all courses requested by the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering for the doctoral examination. I also finished all courses requested by the high-tech school, and there is only one lab left to get their certificate. Finally, my networking and collaborations efforts were also successful. I visited Palestine twice to get in touch with my colleagues at the Department of Medical Imaging in the Arab American University to share my ideas, my projects, and all these things. And yes, it was very successful. And a new member from that university will join our group this September. I also established a new collaboration with North Rhine-Westphalia scholarships to have a fund for 3 students from Palestine next year to do their short-term training here in Jülich under my supervision. I also established a collaboration with Dad Rise Germany. It's a program dedicated for students from USA, Canada, UK, and Ireland to do their bachelor's research under my supervision here in Jülich. Regarding to my future plans, so I will finish the project by constructing the first prototype of Biograph MMR brain phantom. And also, I managed to write a manual with all specifications for the constructed phantom to serve as a reference for the radiologist and medical physics community in Palestine. And this was as a short-term plans. Also, I managed to establish a research cluster in the field of phantom research between Jülich Forschungszentrum, Palestinian hospitals, and universities. And also, and of course, any assistance and collaboration you can provide would be greatly appreciated. And that was as a long-term plans. At the end, I would like to thank all of you for your attention, and a special thanks to the Federal Ministry of Education and Research in Germany. Special thanks to Jülich Research Center and my colleagues here at INM-2 and ZEA-1. Also thanks to the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Palestine, to Palast, and last but not least, to the Palestinian-German Science Bridge for giving me the chance to be here in front of you. Thank you so much.